She walked into a luxury store wearing a simple hoodie, and they treated her like a thief. But what the manager didn't know, the woman she humiliated was about to own the entire place. It was a rainy Tuesday morning, the kind where the clouds hung low and the streets shimmered like glass. Inside Marvelo Luxe, the city's most exclusive fashion boutique, everything gleamed. Polished marble floors, golden racks, and the soft scent of imported perfume drifting through the air. And then she walked in, a young black woman, wearing a plain gray hoodie and worn sneakers, stepped through the glass doors. Her backpack was faded, her jeans simple. No diamond earrings, no designer bag, just quiet confidence and eyes that noticed everything. For a moment, the room seemed to pause. Conversations hushed. The soft jazz music playing in the background felt almost too elegant for her presence. At least, that's what Laura, the store manager, thought. Laura's lips tightened. Her heels clicked sharply as she leaned toward cashier. "Keep an eye on her," she whispered. "People like that don't come here to buy. They come to try." The cashier hesitated. "But she hasn't. Just do it." Laura snapped softly, flashing a tight smile as the woman glanced in her direction. The woman didn't seem to notice, or maybe she chose not to. She moved gracefully through the aisles, fingertips gliding over silk dresses and neatly folded blouses. Each piece told a story of wealth and status, price tags that could pay rent for months. She paused at a display of diamond-studded handbags, admiring one with gold accents and a soft white finish. It wasn't envy in her eyes. It was appreciation, the kind of look that comes from someone who understands quality. But Laura saw something else entirely. To her, it looked suspicious. Within seconds, the manager approached, her perfume arriving before her words. "Hi there," she said, voice honey but edged. "Those items are quite expensive. Maybe you'd prefer something from the clearance rack." The woman turned slowly, her face calm, her eyes steady. "I'm just looking, thanks." Laura crossed her arms, her name tag glinting under the lights. "I understand," she said, her tone tightening. "But we can't have customers handling merchandise if they can't afford it. Store policy." The woman blinked, trying to stay polite. "That's odd," she said gently. "I didn't see that written anywhere." Laura leaned closer, lowering her voice, but keeping that condescending smile. "We just don't want any accidents. You understand." Every word dripped with judgment, thick, cold, and public. Nearby shoppers began to glance over. A young couple looked away awkwardly. A man whispered to his wife. The woman in the hoodie felt the weight of their stares pressing down, but she didn't flinch. Instead, she straightened her back, placed the handbag carefully back on the shelf, and said quietly, "You don't have to worry. I can afford more than you think." Laura gave a short, mocking laugh. "Of course, dear. That's what they all say." The rain outside beat harder against the windows, like the city itself was listening. And though no one knew it yet, the woman standing in that hoodie was about to turn the entire store's world upside down. The tension in the air was thick enough to slice. Other shoppers had started to notice what was happening near the center of the store. A few leaned over clothing racks to get a better look. One woman whispered, "What's going on?" while another quietly pulled out her phone, pretending to browse, but really recording. Laura's voice rose, sharp and performative. "This lady seems to be lingering a little too long," she said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. "Could you please make sure everything's okay?" Heads turned. Conversation stopped. The soft background music suddenly felt awkward, out of place, like it was trying to hide the growing embarrassment in the air. A security guard, tall and broad-shouldered, approached. He looked uncomfortable, his steps hesitant. "Ma'am," he said carefully to Laura, "she hasn't done anything wrong." Laura gave him a sharp look, the kind that said, "Don't question me in front of customers." "Do your job," she said through clenched teeth. "We can't take risks." The guard exhaled slowly and turned toward the woman in the hoodie. "Ma'am," he said gently, "I'm really sorry, but could you please show me your bag?" The woman's expression changed. Not anger, not fear, but something deeper. Disappointment. The kind that comes when you've seen this happen too many times before. Still, she didn't make a scene. She unzipped her worn backpack and placed it on the counter. Inside, a notebook, a laptop, a phone charger, and a set of car keys. Nothing more. The guard looked at Laura. See? She's clean. But Laura wasn't done. She couldn't back down now. Not in front of an audience she had created. With that same fake smile plastered on her face, she said, "Maybe this isn't the right store for you. We cater to a more exclusive clientele." The woman tilted her head slightly. "Exclusive?" she repeated, her tone calm but cutting. "You mean white?" The word hung in the air like thunder. Laura's smile faltered. "Excuse me." The woman stepped closer, her voice steady. "I've been standing here for 15 minutes. You offered champagne to every customer who walked in after me, but you didn't even say hello. You followed me around like I was a problem." Laura looked around nervously, realizing the entire staff had frozen. 2 employees stood near the register, pretending to fold scarves. Another busied herself with hangers that didn't need rearranging. A sleek black SUV rolled to a stop outside the entrance. Its tinted doors opened smoothly, and out stepped the very woman Laura had humiliated hours ago. But this time, she was unrecognizable. Gone was the gray hoodie and warm backpack. Instead, she wore a tailored black suit that fit her like it was made for her, a diamond watch on her wrist, a calm, commanding energy in every step. Her heels clicked against the wet pavement with purpose. Behind her followed 2 men in matching navy suits, carrying briefcases. They looked like lawyers. Important ones. The automatic doors slid open, and Laura froze mid-step. "Ma'am," she stammered, "the store's closed." The woman didn't even slow down. She reached into her bag, pulled out a thick folder, and handed it to Laura. "Not anymore," she said coolly. "Starting tomorrow, it's my store." For a second, Laura didn't comprehend. She blinked at the folder, then at the men standing behind her. What were you talking about?" The woman gestured gracefully toward them. "Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Alicia Brooks, CEO of Brooks Retail Holdings." She let that sink in before continuing, her tone even almost gentle. "We just finalized the acquisition of Marvelo Luxe. All 32 locations. As of 6 p.m. today, this entire chain, including this branch, belongs to me." The room went still. The employees stopped moving, their jaws dropping. Even the security guard who'd been embarrassed earlier stood frozen by the door. Laura's mouth fell open. You're the new owner?" she whispered. Alicia gave a calm nod. "Technically, yes." She took a slow step closer, her voice low but powerful. "So, I'd appreciate it if you didn't tell me, or anyone else, who belongs here." Laura's face turned pale. Her confidence crumbled like glass. The weight of her own arrogance hit her all at once. Behind her, the staff exchanged looks, half shocked, half thrilled. Justice had arrived, and it was wearing heels. Alicia glanced around the store one last time, her gaze sweeping over the marble floors, the racks of luxury items, the golden logo that once represented exclusion. She smiled faintly. Tomorrow, things are going to change. And with that, she turned and walked toward her office now, leaving Laura speechless in the middle of the store she no longer controlled. Outside, the rain had finally stopped. The night was still, but inside Marvelo Luxe, a storm had just begun. Laura's hands trembled as she backed away from the counter, her face pale and her voice cracking. I didn't mean anything by it. I was just... Alicia lifted her hand, stopping her mid-sentence. The room fell silent again. You could hear the faint hum of the air conditioning, the quiet shuffle of nervous feet. "Enough," Alicia said calmly, her tone sharp but controlled. "You judged me the second I walked in here. You didn't see a customer. You saw a stereotype." Laura blinked rapidly, tears forming in her eyes. "I swear I wasn't trying to..." Alicia's gaze didn't waver. "You assumed I didn't belong because I wasn't dressed like your other customers. Or maybe," she added, her voice lowering, "because of my skin." No one dared to move. The staff had gathered near the back of the store. Cashiers, clerks, and the security guard. All of them stood frozen, listening. Even the sound of distant traffic seemed to fade away. Alicia took a deep breath, her composure unwavering. "I started this company from nothing. I worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. I used to sew clothes in my tiny apartment and sell them online. I slept in my car for months, dreaming that one day I could build something that mattered. Her eyes softened slightly as she looked around the luxurious store. The chandeliers, the velvet curtains, the shelves lined with overpriced handbags. And I did it, she continued. I built a brand. A real one. Not just one that sells labels and logos, but one that stands for something. Laura's eyes darted from the floor to Alicia, panic flickering behind them. She looked like a woman watching her world collapse piece by piece. I bought Marvelo Luxe, Alicia said firmly, because I wanted to redefine what luxury really means. To me, luxury isn't about gold tags or designer logos. She stepped closer until she was standing right in front of Laura. Luxury, she said softly, is about respect. It's how you treat people, no matter what they look like or where they come from. Laura swallowed hard, her voice trembling. Please don't fire me. I didn't know who you were. Alicia's expression didn't change. She leaned in slightly, her eyes steady and strong. That's exactly the problem, she said. You shouldn't have to know who someone is to treat them with dignity. The words hung in the air like a verdict. Laura's mascara had begun to smudge, and her confident posture was gone. She wasn't the powerful store manager anymore, just a woman facing the weight of her own prejudice. Alicia finally looked away, turning toward the rest of the staff. Starting tomorrow, she said clearly, this store will be different. No one gets treated like that again. Ever. There was silence, and then, slowly, the employees began to nod. Even the security guard gave a quiet smile. As Alicia walked toward her office, Laura's voice came out barely above a whisper. I'm sorry. Alicia stopped, glancing over her shoulder. Prove it, she said simply. Change how you see people. That's where real luxury begins. And with that, she walked away, leaving behind the echo of her words and a store forever changed. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the front windows of Marvelo Luxe, glinting off the polished marble floors. But something was different, not just in the air, but in the message that now greeted every passerby. Right above the entrance hung a brand new sign in bold, elegant letters. Now under new ownership, everyone welcome. People stopped on the sidewalk to read it. Some smiled. Some even took pictures. Inside, employees whispered among themselves, glancing around the store that already felt different. Laura stood behind the counter, her usual confidence replaced by quiet reflection. Her pristine uniform was the same, but her posture had changed. She looked smaller somehow, not in stature, but in ego. Alicia had kept her word. Laura wasn't fired. Not yet. Instead, Alicia believed in something stronger than punishment, growth. She called Laura into her new office that morning, the same office Laura had once ruled over. I'm not going to fire you, Alicia said simply, but I'm going to teach you. Laura looked confused. Teach me? Alicia leaned back in her chair. Yes, you're going to attend diversity training. You'll shadow employees from every background. And every customer who walks through that door, you'll greet them personally, with a smile. Laura nodded slowly. Every customer? Every single one, Alicia said firmly. No matter how they look, how they dress, or where they come from, you'll start learning what respect really looks like. Weeks turned into months. Laura did as she was told. She stood by the entrance every morning, greeting everyone, from wealthy executives to college kids in hoodies, from single moms to construction workers. At first, it was awkward, forced. She smiled because she had to. But over time, something began to shift. She started recognizing faces, remembering names. She learned stories. The tired nurse shopping for her first expensive purse after a promotion. The teenager saving up for his mother's birthday gift. The delivery driver who always stopped to compliment the displays. And for the first time in years, Laura realized something. People were the real luxury. Marvelo Luxe began to change, too. Word spread quickly that the once stuck-up boutique had become one of the most inclusive stores in the city. The champagne was now offered to everyone, not just to those who looked rich. Customers of every race, class, and background began walking through the doors, not out of curiosity, but because they felt welcome. One afternoon, months later, Laura found Alicia arranging a new display near the front window. I used to think success was about image, Laura said quietly. About who looked the part. Alicia turned, her expression soft. Laura continued, voice trembling slightly, but now, I see it's about people, about how you make them feel. Alicia smiled. That's a good start. They both looked around, at the bustling store filled with laughter, conversation, and life. The same marble floors that once echoed with silence now hummed with connection. Alicia's eyes lingered on the new sign outside, sunlight catching the gold lettering. Sometimes, she said softly, the best lessons come disguised as humiliation. Laura nodded, understanding fully now. The camera would zoom out, revealing Alicia Brooks standing tall, not in vengeance but in grace, her success shining not through revenge, but through change. Clapperboard moral of the story. Never judge someone by their appearance. The person you look down on today might own the very world you stand in tomorrow. And true power? It isn't about control, it's about compassion. If this story inspired you, hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful stories that prove kindness is the real luxury.